The gross reason Yellowstone's cowboys believe hats on the bed is bad luck. Yellowstone features many cowboy characters, many of whom are superstitious about placing their hats on their beds, and for good reason. The popular Paramount Network neo-Western drama series centers around the Duttons, a family of cowboys and cowgirls who own and run the biggest cattle ranch in Montana. In the show, the Duttons, which includes Kevin Costner as John Dutton IA, Luke Grimes as Case Dutton, Kelly Reilly as Beth Dutton, Wes Bentley as Jamie Dutton, Cole Hauser as Rip Dutton, and more, encounter many problems and drama within their own family and between them and their neighbors. But one of the things most of them agree on is the lore behind putting their hats on beds. The cowboys in Yellowstone are not afraid of many things. But as seen early in the first season of the Paramount Network television show, they are very particular about where they place their hats at the end of a long workday. When Jimmy Herdstrom started working at the Yellowstone Ranch, he quickly learned about the infamous superstition that he should never put his cowboy hat on the bed. They take this fear very seriously, except for Case, who doesn't believe in the superstition. And aside from the myth behind it, there is also another, gross, reason behind cowboys not wanting to place their hats on beds. Aside from the obvious, it's bad luck to put your cowboy hat on a bed. The characters in Yellowstone are wary of where they hang up their hats at the end of the day because of a legitimate health concern: lice. No one wants to get lice, including cowboys, who have to wear their hats for the majority of the day. Unfortunately, lice thrive on surfaces like hats, and they are easy to spread when placing hats on other well-used surfaces, like beds. As a result, the no cowboy hats on the bed rule is applicable not only as a superstitious belief, but also as a practical one about wanting to avoid spreading lice. As for the lore behind the superstition, American Cowboy cites that it originates from the fear of inviting bad luck into one's life. More specifically, placing a cowboy hat on the bed can bring on an argument, injury, or death. However, this superstition does not always apply exclusively to beds. Putting a cowboy hat brimside down on any surface is considered bad luck because it can result in all the good luck running out of the crown and ruining the hat's shape. The superstition surrounding hats on beds does not exclusively apply to cowboys and their headwear. As a matter of fact, some are wary of putting any kind of hat on beds because they believe in the aforementioned bad luck. So even though the characters in Yellowstone strongly enforce the no hats on the bed rule, it goes further than just cowboys. In the wild, untamed stretches of Yellowstone, where the air is thick with dust, and the cattle roam as freely as the wind, there are a few superstitions that are passed down through generations of cowboys. One of the most widely known, and fiercely believed, is that hats placed on the bed bring nothing but bad luck. The old-timers swear by it, and the younger hands take it to heart. But the origins of this belief are as grim as they are fascinating, woven deep into the fabric of the cowboy lifestyle. For a cowboy, the hat is more than just a piece of clothing. It's an extension of the man himself. Worn proudly and oftentimes with a few hard-earned scars, a cowboy's hat carries with it the story of the ranch, the battles with nature, and the struggles of life on the open range. Whether it's a Stetson or a beaten-up old felt hat, it's seen more sunrises and more storms than most people would ever care to face. To treat the hat with disrespect is to disrespect the man who wears it. Putting a hat on the bed, especially after a long day's ride, is seen as an invitation for misfortune. The bed, a place where a cowboy rests his weary bones after long hours spent breaking horses, herding cattle, or mending fences, is sacred. It's a place of peace and respite from the harsh realities of life on the ranch. And yet, placing a hat on the bed is seen as a violation of that peace. It's a superstition that's rooted in the belief that the hat carries with it the weight of the cowboy's trials and tribulations. The idea is that when a cowboy lays his hat on the bed, he is inviting all the bad luck and misfortune that he's faced in the world into his personal space. The superstition can be traced back to the early days of cowboy life, where the bed itself was a rare luxury. For many cowboys, their lives were spent on the move, with the bed being a temporary reprieve from the rigors of the trail. There was a time when a cowboy would spend weeks or even months on horseback, sleeping under the stars or in the company of his fellow riders. A bed was a luxury, a symbol of home, and to place anything on it that wasn't deserving of respect was seen as bad juju. Some say it goes back even further, back to the days of the cattle drives and the railroads, when cowboys would ride in cattle cars for days on end. It's said that, in those days, a cowboy would often use his hat as a makeshift pillow, or even as a shield from the harsh elements. In the muck and grime of the cattle pens, the hat was the one thing that remained clean and useful. To put it on the bed, the one place that was supposed to be free of dirt and roughness, was seen as a desecration of sorts. It was a breach of the unspoken rules that governed the cowboy way of life. Others point to a darker, more ominous origin for the superstition. During the early days of settlement in the West, there was a grim reality to life. Disease and illness were rampant, and death could come at any moment. There are tales of cowboys who had been struck down by fever or plague, who had passed away in their sleep. Some believed that the bed, the place where a person would rest and slip into the afterlife, should never be tainted by the presence of anything associated with death. The hat, a symbol of the cowboy's identity, was thought to carry with it the spirits of those who had fallen in battle or succumbed to illness. Placing a hat on the bed was seen as an invitation for death itself to visit. And then there are those who believe that the superstition has a more practical origin, born out of the harsh realities of the cowboy life. Cowhands often faced unpredictable and violent weather, which could turn a day's work into a battle for survival. A hat that was placed on the bed or left in the wrong spot was thought to be a potential risk. If a hat was knocked off the bed in the middle of the night or tossed haphazardly on the floor, it was seen as a sign of neglect, a sign that a cowboy wasn't prepared for what lay ahead. In a world where preparedness could mean the difference between life and death, even something as simple as a hat on the bed could spell disaster. As the superstition passed from generation to generation, it became ingrained in the cowboy culture. Newcomers to the trade were warned early on about the dangers of placing their hats on the bed, and even the most hardened ranchers would make a point to remove their hats before lying down to sleep. Those who ignored the warning often found themselves in unfortunate circumstances, be it a missed opportunity on the range, a bad deal with a rancher, or even the loss of a prized horse or herd. In the world of the cowboy, bad luck was never taken lightly, and the hat was seen as a protector, a shield from the harshness of life. To disrespect the hat was to risk the wrath of the fates themselves. In modern times, many young cowboys might scoff at the superstition, dismissing it as old-fashioned or irrational. However, even in this age of technology and convenience, the belief still holds sway. There's a certain reverence that comes with the cowboy way of life, a respect for tradition, and the wisdom of those who came before. For those who call Yellowstone home, whether born and raised or simply passing through, the superstition of hats on the bed is something that's never taken lightly. To them, it's more than just a superstition. It's a way of life. So the next time you find yourself in the heart of cowboy country, take care not to place your hat on the bed. After all, as any seasoned cowboy will tell you, it's not just about avoiding bad luck. It's about honoring the legacy of those who came before and respecting the traditions that have kept the cowboy spirit alive.